Today's episode is presented by LodeStar, the fee experts.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a new series for LodeStar's Lending Leaders, which we're going to call Industry Update with Jim Paolino as our guest. We realized we really didn't have Jim on enough to talk about his industry experience, his thoughts and feelings on the industry, and we wanted to take some additional time to kind of talk about it and give you space to provide your insights.
It's definitely the feedback our listeners gave us, right? More Jim.
More Jim.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has ever said that. So
it's okay. It's like more cowbell.
Segment, yeah.
More cowbell, more Jim.
It's just like that.
So we want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the industry. It's early January. We're kind of starting to see how 2023 is going to shape up. And there's a lot of not so great headlines out there. So how are you feeling about the industry as a whole right now?
I'd say optimistic. Honestly, I think, I'm an optimistic person. I always start the new year optimistically too, because traditionally we see a lot of slowdown in the fourth quarter. So starting a new year is always something exciting. I feel like just being around this business for so many years and being in it with LodeStar for 10 is every year everyone's excited about the spring purchase market. It is always a thing, right? And sure, you see some uptick. It's going to be something. I think the general, while there's, definitely some negative headlines and some things we'll get into, I think the general consensus and excitement is the worst is behind us. We've passed the bottom. Rates are going down this year. Not a ton. A lot of people say low fives, something like that, but that's enough to provide relief, maybe increase purchases, maybe increase refis for people who've refied at higher rates. So there's enough that it's hey, it can't be any worse than last year, right? I don't know exactly. Yeah. No one knows, right? It's fun to speculate. I think when you look at the things you do know is the market's going to rebound eventually. Right, things are going to change. Things are going to open up. And I think what we're seeing more is, kind of in the middle to third quarter, fourth quarter of last year, everyone was kind of battening down the hatches. I think you're seeing negative headlines now, but for me, people are moving into being, are we going to be expanding or contracting in this market? Wells Fargo pulling back from doing mortgages outside their core clients. That's a retraction. Layoffs, companies closing down. We're seeing all that. Certainly that's happening. Those are retractions. But at the same time, we see people acquiring companies, expanding states, growing their business, growing into different channels. So I would say there's more and more people making investments, making bets on different things happening right now in a way that is encouraging. And I think a lot of people know, and we talk about this all the time, if this is markets where you grow, these are opportunities to get market share. And it feels like the light at the end of the tunnel is coming a little bit more. Yeah. I mean, we're probably two of the more optimistic people at the company, so we might be the wrong two people to talk about this in some ways, but from what we're seeing in the market.
Yeah, and I think you touched on it lightly. I read an article earlier today that was, is this the low? Have we seen the highest rate yet?
Yeah.
Do we think mortgage rates are going to continue to go up? Do we think they're going to stay where they are, go down? What is your kind of feel for that? As you've been here for a while.
Yeah, I actually was reading an article that my friend Mike and one of our avid listeners was talking about of his predictions for the year, and he had said anytime he does a prediction, he says it's 40%. I have a 40% confidence this is going to happen. So if you're wrong, you can say, hey, see, I wasn't even 50% sure that was going to happen. It seems, I think, barring anything unforeseen, like major supply chain disruption, major global events, major changes there, it seems like everything that's happening with the Fed, all of the rate increases, all of the things that are changing have been already priced into the market. So as long as those things happen on schedule, where you see, a few more increases in the Fed rate, then they probably just hold tight for a while. Mortgage rates should continue to go down if that happens, right? Unforeseen things can happen, things can necessarily change, but it seems like a lot of how the market's reacting is because all of this is already baked in. And that seems to be the case with mortgage rates right now.
Yeah. And then, you know, a lot of the shows that we're going to, I know IMB has a session on it, which is coming up next week. And even a few of the other agendas that have been released for shows this year really are heavily focused on M&A and how you can prepare for it as an employee, not just as a leader.
Yeah.
What would you kind of say to people that are either considering an M&A situation like you have in the past, you know, had those conversations, everyone does, right? And to those people?
I mean, it makes a ton of sense. It's always been a trend in our industry for many ways. You have independently owned companies, a lot of smaller companies, cyclical industry, an aging industry. So how is someone who owns their business at the age of 60 or 70 going to exit? They're going to sell, right? So a lot of those things are very common. In this market, it's even more common, right, of people wanting to get market share, and that's a very easy way to do it. I think you just have to see if there's an alignment of those things, right? Because you can buy revenue at the end of the day, but is it better than growing it? Is it better than, like, what do you get with that, right? It's not always a 1 + 1 = 2 situation. Sometimes 1 + 1 equals 1.5. Sometimes it equals 2.5. You have to kind of, you know, to use the overword word of synergy. You have to kind of make sure that you have alignment when you're looking at those types of things. I think a thing that worries me is there's, you know, not only our clients getting acquired, because that usually makes hurts us, but it seems to me like there's kind of a hollowing out of the industry, or like that could be a trend, right? Where you see the major folks on one end, right? Wells Fargo, they're not really getting out of mortgages. They're just staying put, right? They're staying put for a little while. You know, the Quickens, the UWMs, they're perfectly fine, right? Then at the other side, on a small local level, I think those folks will always be fine. You know, the go-to mortgage broker in Conshohocken, our town where we're in, they're going to be totally fine. They have the local connections. They have very low costs. They'll be able to survive different markets. I think it's the clients in the middle that can be the most vulnerable because you don't have that bankroll behind you. You don't have that scale to take advantage of. But you do have costs. You have employees. You have a lot more things than, you know, someone very locally does. So will those types of companies continue to exist, or will they either get really big, get really small, or get acquired by those folks, right? So that's kind of what I mean by the hollowing out of the industry. So I don't know. We'll see.
It's going to be an interesting year.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, you know, something that someone commented on as we wrapped up the year, looked back, someone kind of asked if we would make some predictions for the year moving forward. So let's hear some random predictions, mortgage related or not. If anyone's ever heard of a 2023 bingo card, where you just make a bunch of random guesses and see if you can get bingo by the end of the year.
I forgot to ask that. Yeah, I'm not prepared for my.
Just you done no preparation. I threw this at Jim without any warning. But we can go random here.
On a more serious economic note, I don't think there'll be a recession.
Okay.
That's one. I think the interest rates will get into the low 5s.
Okay.
I think you will see a growth in the purchase market.
Love it.
I guess maybe technically in refis, but it's tough.
I don't feel like a lot of people bought it. Yeah. There's not a huge volume.
So, what else? I think the Celtics will win the NBA Finals.
Perfect.
So
great.
that's one of my
I'm going with the
predictions.
Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl. Go Birds.
The last time the Eagles got mentioned on this podcast, they lost 2 straight games.
Oh my gosh, it cursed us.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, absolutely not.
If not the Bills.
Jalen Hurts just got an ache in his knee from you saying that.
Oh gosh. You know,
Yeah.
If not, we want the Bills. We like the Bills.
Let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, I think that's.
You think that's good?
That's all I can do off the top of my head because I wasn't prepared for that.
I'm so sorry. I threw that at you.
Okay.
I just remembered it. You know, fun times. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna pick a random artist that's gonna have a revival, a musical artist. I'm trying to think of one. I think Shakira is gonna release an album this year.
Shakira.
Yeah, that's what.
Or it's like, what was the name of the song from Stranger Things, the old song?
Oh, Running Up That Hill?
Yeah. right?
she's
Something like that.
There's going to be some song that's going to have a random revival, and I bet you that's going to be fulfilled.
Or other old IP like the Addams Family being back now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I good stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jim, for taking the time. And we'll see everyone next week. We will be at IMB on Monday. And then our next show will be, Jim will actually be at Encompass Experience.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see you in Las Vegas.
It's going to be great. So we're excited to see everyone in person. And we will be doing a live recording at Encompass Experience that we're really excited about. We'll be at booth 711. So if you happen to be at that show, we really want to see you and get your feedback for that show.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next week.
Thank you for listening to LodeStar's Lending Leaders. Please like, subscribe, and rate us 5 stars anywhere you get your podcast. I'd like to give a special thank you to the LodeStar team involved with the production of this podcast, including Elena Gardner, Tim Austin, and John Gardner.